So, HeeJin has finally given us the first solo work of her career since Vivid all the way back in 2016, and almost on the anniversary too. And for some reason, you came here looking for a review. Given the occasional thorns in my side who show up on my channel every so often, it's a given that I have a reputation as something of a HeeJin hater. I swear that's not actually the case, but I definitely had misgivings towards HeeJin and solo work ever since it was announced. Being the favorite who gets a lot of lines and attention is certainly not exclusive to HeeJin among K-pop, it's visible happening in practically every company on some level. Receiving so much attention resulted in investment from fans, and orbits can to this day be found lovingly calling her the ace of the fourth generation. And for the record, everything I'm about to say you can easily apply to Eve too. Like, you can just copy-paste virtually everything I say from here on out onto her. It's really like that. They're very similar idols. Quite frankly, HeeJin is one of the most boss dancers available to the K-pop industry right now, but in order to be an ace, HeeJin would have to be able to rap. And on that note, she'd also have to be able to sing too. Yeah, I just said that, and you're gonna have to get past it. There is a lot to cover here, and getting through the rest of this video is going to require your head not exploding 30 seconds in, so please, swallow that comment you're writing and hear me out. HeeJin is on record as of 2017 claiming that she failed every singing audition she went to before Blockberry picked her up, and boy howdy do I believe that. It was abundantly clear while under Blockberry that HeeJin had no vocal training whatsoever. Compared to vocalists like jinsoul and Chu, who sang live every chance they got, HeeJin sang live relatively sparsely, and it's no wonder why. Granted, this did not have to be a problem. God knows most K-pop idols these days can't sing live to save their lives. It is more than possible to create good music without being able to belt. And if you're not convinced of that, just take a look at some of the most famous solo idols active in the industry at the last few years. Kai, Sunmi, and Chungha were all main dancers, but have kind of become some of the most iconic soloists not just from their groups, but in K-pop outright. With the right music, you'll do just fine. This was visible with songs like Favorite and Hi Hi. For example, in Hi Hi, HeeJin's line in the first verse, and her line in the bridge, were both clearly written with haseul in mind. And yeah, haseul probably would have sounded better, but HeeJin makes them work well enough. There's also songs like Wow and Star/Voice, where HeeJin sounds just right for the song.
Don't wanna spend these hours with nobody else.
Unlike local equivalents such as, who's very HeeJin is just nearby, Daeyeon from Kepler. Yeah, unlike Daeyeon and similar casts of dancers given vocal roles, HeeJin has the benefit of a strong voice and great clarity. She has a very pretty voice that she's done well with for having had to learn how to use it on the fly. But this did not carry her through more vocally challenging songs, especially given Blockberry's habit of throwing demanding notes at her and then looking at her like she was supposed to know what to do with them. She was very ill-equipped for high notes, especially on songs like So What and Why Not. And quite frankly, if this weren't HeeJin and some other idol and some other group sounding like that, y'all would be merciless, like y'all would be saying she needed a throat lozenge. It's that serious. Blockberry tried to sell HeeJin as a main vocal, but were clearly not interested in paying to have her properly trained, much like how an abusive parent somehow manages to neglect even their favorite child. So for me, debuting under Artemis with Jaden's company Modhaus was a critical junction for her. Compared to the girls in Odd Eye Circle who were already respected as powerful idols, and Loosumble who were getting their chance to finally breathe and prove the haters wrong, HeeJin had a lot to prove and would essentially have to defend the amount of attention she got from Blockberry. If this release wasn't good, I was going to be the first in line to say, I told you so. And for me, whether this release was good or not hinged primarily on whether Jaden prioritizes vocals and was willing to have her trained. So, final verdict? Pretty okay. Even though there's an intro, we're obviously going to start with a promoted work. Algorithm is a very on-point city pop song with all the trappings of the genre brought to us by Artronic Waves, a producer Loona worked with throughout their pre-debut project, albeit more sparsely than Monotree. They're also behind I'll Be There, You and Me Together, and Fairy Tale, a trio of synthy, percussion-driven one-third tracks that sparkle. However, they have also given us bangers like Chaotic and Egoist, and can also be credited with Love Me Like off of Odd Eye Circle's Version Up album. It's certainly a good song, but I'd put it much closer to its one-third relatives than some of the later subunit work. It put me immediately in mind of EXO CBX's Blooming Day, especially BDC's disco-flavored rendition of it for Peak Time.
be your boyfriend, can I? Sad love song, say for the time is up.
HeeJin sells the song well enough, though her vocals don't sound like they've had the necessary glow up to really defend her position as a supposed all-rounder. There's a token long note near the end, but it's pretty much the same as all the rest have been, if perhaps less ambitious. What baffles me though is that on top of the ill-advised use of a city pop song as a title track when it's really too late to take advantage of that trend, is doing it immediately after haseul released Plastic Candy, which is also a city pop song harkening back to the 1980s. They're the same flavor and everything, the only difference is that haseul didn't get a music video or a choreography. Not only that, but while HeeJin has the benefit of a voice with a lot of clarity, nostalgia-fueled city pop songs like this generally benefit from voices with a huskier or hazier feel. The thing really kicking it while it's down is the music video. None of the colors of city pop are here, be they washed out or psychedelic. There's exactly one scene with HeeJin singing at a club with disco lights, and it lasts a single second. The rest of the video is brightly lit and completely modern. Algorithm is a perfectly okay song for HeeJin to start her new career path on, but I think we can all admit we expected something a little more. I fully anticipated something more like Kwon Eunbi-ish, more charismatic and addictive, but I mean, this works. Kaehwa, meaning flowering, is the intro track, and it puts HeeJin in a very unfortunate position. It is very awkward when your intro track of not even 1 minute and 30 seconds slaps harder than anything in this universe and immediately renders your title track irrelevant. The song definitely leans towards the side of Artronic Waves that produced Odd Eye Circle's cuntiest songs. Very dreamy, yet heavy on the electronics, and doing that layered echo voice clip that was previously seen on Odd Eye Circle's intro as well as YY by Y's Dao Senyo. Hell, if the music sounds this good, I'll listen to HeeJin's album all day long. On the upside, this bodes very well for the rest of the album. Sad Girls Club immediately rings up the same kind of vibes as You Are off of the And album, just faster and with a more poppy chorus. It trades out the sweeter side of You Are, though, for a more straightforwardly regretful feel. Again, we found one of those songs that HeeJin can do, but isn't suited to her specifically. It occurs to me that if we had our usual roster of Chu, Eve, and Kimlip to balance out her voice, the song might sound stretchier and more dynamic, but instead it just feels unambitious. Again, not a bad song, but I can't see actively choosing to listen to this one. Video Game is where HeeJin gets her teasing flirt on. The song's lyrics are surprisingly lustful and sexually charged, but the beat stays very playful and tip-tap. One of the most entertaining parts of the song is definitely the second verse, where it essentially shifts into next gear and suddenly there's some sassy ass-popping happening. There's also a very pleasant drop-off in the bridge where we cut the instrumentals and mostly just rely on her voice. And the best quality of the song, arguably, is that unlike the last two, HeeJin's voice does fit the song. The strength of her voice combined with her natural tone is perfectly fit with it, and it feels like the first song we've had since Vivid, where HeeJin is carrying the song rather than the other way around. Nokia with a title like that is what I would have expected to be the city pop entry. It's actually an acoustic breakup song, which is definitely not what I would have hoped for. As with every other song on the list so far, it is perfectly acceptable and gets the points of the genre right, and its hooks are decently attractive. Unfortunately, this one is definitely more demanding of HeeJin's voice than she has to give. It's perfectly alright when it's in the chorus and the lilting, spiraling melody can carry us through, but those bridge notes just feel like the same old cheating on an exam style vocals Blockberry always used to rely on. Our last song on the album is Addiction, and it is unquestionably the second best song on the album. It hits a very sweet spot between the nostalgic elements and the playful elements of the other songs, relatively fast-paced but still with an easygoing energy. There's still some notes in there essentially holding HeeJin at knife point, but she's putting air in them rather than trying to muscle through them, so it doesn't sound too bad. I can't place the exact genre this one is, but I do know it's putting me in mind of girls in worn-out jeans walking through the park while the sun sets. It's definitely radio-friendly, and while it would never work as a title track, it definitely stands out as a B-side. Again, the song is working within HeeJin's strengths for the most part, and secures itself with good hooks and melody. Overall, a strong note to end the album on. So far, our strongest loona servings are still coming from the units. Chu and HeeJin have proved that they can put out albums with good offerings, but neither one has knocked it out of the park. For Chu, we all let Underwater and Howl slide because being Chu had to have been exhausting, especially under the demonic Blockberry creative label. And while HeeJin shares that terrible backstory, HeeJin had more to prove, and had the backing of a label that's rapidly earning respect. While none of the songs were skips I'd be completely averse to playing, I'd have to say her showing was a little underwhelming here. If I were to rank them and attach a number rating out of 10, I'd have to go with the following rankings. 6 out of 10 for Nokia, 7 out of 10 for Sad Girls Club, 8 out of 10 for Algorithm, 8.5 for Video Game, 9 for Addiction, and 9.5 for Kaehwa. It's a shame that literally the best song on the album is the first minute and spare change of the whole thing, but that's the way it goes, I guess. Going forward, HeeJin is going to have to showcase more if she wants to keep my attention. If she's had any vocal coaching since joining Modhaus, I have yet to hear it, so I want that noticeably improved on, and I want more songs as absolutely cunty as Kewa. Whether this happens and whether haseul ever makes it out of the basement are matters for the future. Until then, Eve's debut remains murky, and this ends the chain of ex-Loona content for the time being until a comeback is announced.